Hello there everybody, or the audience, my name is Supersonic Blower, and welcome to Hand of the Gods, or Smite Tactics. This is the second of the beta games that HiRez is currently working on, and it's kind of a fun game. It's very similar to Duelist. If any of you know what that is, then this should be second nature to you. It's Duelist with Smite stuff and Smite mechanics working for it. And if you don't know what Duelist is, think Hearthstone meets things like XCOM, where you have sort of movements. It's card based, but it's also as then when you play the cards, there's certain positions and movements, and that's how the cards all sort of work. So from that regard, it's very, very interesting, and it's a lot more complicated than something, say for example, Hearthstone. I'm going to equate this to Hearthstone because this is one of the other bigger sort of collectible card games that are online. So, while it doesn't have the same necessary gameplay mechanics, I'm going to equate this to Hearthstone as a general idea, because a lot of people will know what Hearthstone is and how Hearthstone works and things like that. And it makes a lot of sense to do that as a sort of comparable. They're not as comparable, and I can't compare to Duelist too well because I'm not too familiar with it, but I know that it is of the same vein. So, this game is kind of a lot of fun. It's rough around the edges, but it is still in beta. They are constantly adding and changing and updating things. So anything that you do see, for example, collection-wise, certain things do still have like temporary card arts and things. They are adding those as they go. They are constantly being updated and changed. So it's perfectly fine. In fact, I believe as well that there's they've even added things like a bunch of new stuff. They're just adding constantly new things all the time, be it cards, updates, changes, whatever. So from that regard, everything is perfectly fine. The only annoying thing is where this is a card game and they drip out patches very often, unlike something like Hearthstone where you get like 130 new cards in an expansion. They don't do that in this. Instead, you will get constant updates. Weekly by weekly, you'll get more cards. There's two benefits to this. One, it means that any card changes that need to come in can come in very quickly. If a card becomes too strong, too weak, they can change it. However, what this does also mean, unfortunately, is if they're constantly adding new cards, you never quite feel as though you're at that point where it's like, alright, I own all the cards that I want to own. Everything's fine. So from that regard, I would say Hearthstone has a slight advantage. Also as well, is a big thing which they haven't quite got their head around, is adding the same number of cards to each set and expansion at the same time. The Chinese Pantheon has been very strong for a while, simply because they just got a bunch of new cards, and no one else did. So as a result, that's a little bit iffy. I know I'm sort of nagging and nitpicking at the game right now, but I just want to make you guys aware. While this is an open beta, take it with a pinch of salt. Do not expect to come into this with a fully fledged Hearthstone-esque XCOM game. There are going to be things which are wrong with it. So, I'm going to get those out the way. So this is going to feel very negative for a little bit of time, but don't worry. First of all, card packs. Opening packs. It's quite nice. I have some footage of opening packs. They recently just changed it, so it's now got a bit of an animation and how it works. You can see that the cards, when they come out of the pack, they'll have 4 different colors: white, blue, purple, or yellow, in order of common, rare, epic, and legendary. You should know why I now compare this game to Hearthstone a bit. When it comes to getting the cards, it's perfectly fine. The slight annoying thing that I do have is when you explore the collection, first of all, there's a bunch of oh, they added the button! They just added the button! Oh, I'm so glad they did this. Before, they didn't have this Disenchant Extra button. Before, this was hidden away on another page. But now that you have Disenchant Extra, that's fantastic. That's nitpick number 1 of mine gone. The second one, there's no search. There's no way of filtering out. If I want to look at all the 1-mana cards, they're all here. They're all here straight away, which is fine. But it's say I want to look at all the 3-mana cards, 4-mana cards, whatever. Can't do that. If I want to search for a specific thing, can't do that. Also, some of the cards aren't very well explained. For example, these are spells. You know, these here are spells. However, these are minions. Now, I know that it looks fairly simple. You know, oh, it's got health and attack and things like that. However, it wouldn't hurt just having the word spell written on it. Like they have for gods. See here, it says god. Why not just have one of those for spell? You know, just, or maybe just an S. Like an S that you have for it. Because minions will all have their specific types, but just have S for spell somewhere on the card. I know it's not a huge deal. It's just trying to make it a little bit more readable. Another thing that they don't do. There are two different types of minions that you have in the game. There are ranged and there are melee. Doesn't tell you how to tell on the card, as far as I can see anywhere, whether it says that. Never mind, it does. However, I'm going to say this now.
Know your enemy.
These two cards here, one of them is ranged, one of them is...
Unless you're fighting a dragon.
One of them is ranged, one of them is melee. The sword icon and the bow and the arrow icon. That's a very small thing to have to try and notice. So, honestly, I just feel that it could be read a little bit better. These cards just need to be able to be read a bit easier. The arrow and sword are a little too iffy for me. Another thing that you guys have just heard is the issue with this section. Hover over a card and it makes a very loud sound that you cannot really stop. I don't know why it does that. Shouldn't do that. That's just makes things awkward. Other than this, they've pretty much fixed all the issues that I had with this, aside from the disenchant values of cards. This is kinda iffy. As you'd expect, legendaries are the most expensive. They are 320 dust to craft. However, the disenchanter is 80. That is a huge drop. That means you need 4 spare legendaries to craft another legendary, which is nuts for a start. So, we look at epics. Epics craft for 80, so a legendary crafts into an epic. Fair enough, that makes sense. However, epics disenchant for 20. So by that value, you'd say that rares should be around 20. They should cost 20. No, they cost 25. And they disenchant for 5. So, already, you go from 25% of the card value to 25% of the card value to 20% of the card value, which already is an issue because you don't perfectly drop down from epic to rare. But then the worst one is commons. Craft for 8, disenchant for 1. That's just not even remotely good. Like, the average pack, I'm gonna say, well, the worst level pack is gonna be 4 commons and a rare. That means that you are getting 9 dust per pack. That's 1 common. That's just arse backwards. That needs to be overhauled. Fine, Book of the Dead, absolutely fine being the expensive card. However, make it 200, disenchant for 100. 100, we then say is how much the epics cost. Then we make it say that it's 50 for, make it 50 for these. So as a result, you get, 2 rares, 2 of the same value make up a new one, which makes a lot of sense to me. Then you can make these, cost 50, disenchant for 25, and then say that commons just cost 10 and disenchant for 5. So you do get a little bit down the bottom end where things are a bit iffy, but it just makes things feel a lot better. This 1 and 8 are really awkward numbers and really don't kind of work, especially when it comes to what it should be. If you say that 2 of 1 should equal the next one, roughly, You know, rares and commons are where this is going to be it's going to get skewed a bit, but epics and legendaries should all sort of go 2 of the same value should make one of the next one. Or, sorry, 4 of the same value should make one of the next one up, and 2 of the same should make a new one that you don't already have. So from that regard, I think they do need to make a little bit of a change. The other thing, which is absolutely stupid, in my opinion, are these. These are additional skins. They do absolutely nothing. They are purely cosmetic, and that I am totally fine with saying they are just for cosmetic look. Very similar to how golden frames are in Hearthstone or the other heroes. They're just for cosmetics. However, 1, these are legendaries that you pull in a pack. 2, unlike normal legendaries, these cost 4 times the price of a normal legendary to craft, but disenchant for the price of a full normal legendary. That is stupid. Absolutely stupid. If you are pulling these from a pack, these are the biggest waste in a pack. Absolutely the biggest waste. And I don't see the reason why these should be things. If you're gonna have them, make it for something like reach level 5 with this hero. Make it something that makes it so you are rewarded for progression, not for pulling this from a pack when you didn't want it. Because you don't gain anything for this, it just costs a lot to make. And that for me is a stupid thing. So there's a couple things on this that they can change. Again, this is beta. I will stress this 100% of the time. This is beta and subject to change. But this is just my personal opinion on this. And yes, it's very negative and critical. But I feel like you should be negative and critical about something, or else you're not going to improve it. Last little thing as well, and this is just something which I don't fully understand why they didn't do it. In Paladins, Paladins has a very nice system when you open their chests. If you already own the stuff from the chest, you automatically get it disenchanted. I don't see why they don't just have even the option to say auto disenchant stuff. I totally get the idea that people sometimes will say, no, I just want to collect them all. I don't care whether I have more or less of the cards. I just want them all. I totally get that. However, that being said, what I don't understand is why they didn't implement the option from one of their games. They both have the IP. It's not as if they're stealing something from another game or anything. It's theirs. Why not just use it? But that's just me. That's my only little thing that I can say. In terms of collecting packs, I have opened a fair few packs. I've opened about 200 packs. The only reason I did this is because A, I am a kleptomaniac, so I will 100% admit that. And the other thing as well, I did want to play with certain decks, and I wanted to make them, and that involved me having certain cards. That's just me. I'm perfectly fine with this. From what I have seen and heard from people, this game is fairly easy to obtain packs because you have quests. The quests always give you a reasonable amount of favor, and favor, for 300 favor, you can buy yourself a pack. Favor you get pretty much every time you play a level, do a quest, level up your characters, play the arena. Playing the arena, everything's all perfectly fine. There's no issues or qualms or anything like that. So, that's pretty much the worst part of the game out of the way. Like I said, with the collection and stuff, there's a few little bits that I've said and nitpicked at. For example, a couple of them, these bars here, if they got rid of these bars, you'd have more room to see the cards anyway. And then if you had like a scroll option, you could see more anyway. That's just the small thing. Have down the bottom, like I'll try and highlight here, have like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... 8 mana bar, and then up the top in this dead space up here put a search bar, so if you're looking for a particular card, and then just make a little bit more clear with the cards, like just write spell or something. So that's this part of the game, but that's not actually talking about the game itself. So let's actually play the game. I'm going to go into training because this is the easiest way to do it. I'm going to go versus AI, I'm going to go versus a hard opponent, I'm going to go random, and I'm going to throw in the deck that I made, the custom deck that I have personally enjoyed a lot of, and that is just Greed is Good. Greed is Good is the deck that I'm running a lot of. As you can see, there's a couple little issues. For example, the G there is just getting cut off a bit if you do it too long, but that's fine. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to hopefully play Oh. Okay, so hard doesn't want to appear to work right now, but that's fine. I don't think I clicked the right deck. It doesn't matter. Going to early beta. It says right there. It's beta. So I'm going to fight Zeus, and I'm going to be just playing Ra. This is going to be a good example of showing where things are. So I'm going second. It doesn't say that I'm going second, but I'm going second because I have 4 cards in my hand. You start with 1 mana always, and then go to 2. So that's quite interesting. I'm going to drop that and just play this. Now, this is the big issue I have with the level, is the way the cards are held. The cards that are held are too, in my opinion, they are too close together. I can read what none of those cards are right now. I can't read any of them. At all. I just can't read them. So, I have to hover over them. And that's not particularly great, in my opinion. That's just me, though. That is straight up just my opinion. So, one of the nice things is when they spawn a card, if it has the exclamation mark over you, that means that they can attack it by moving to it. Ranged can only move 2, but then shoot 3, I believe. I think that's how it works anyway. And melee can only move 3 and shoot 1 in front of them. So nice, they're working on the game constantly in terms of updating UI. The one which I really wish that they had implemented was a small grid. Just a faint grid so that you can see where all the positions are for stuff. I really just wish that was in the game. That's just me, and that's the only thing I can say, is I wish that was in the game right now. That's about all I can say that I wish was in the game.
Yes.
There's some fairly simple, easy mechanics. Afterlife, Warcry, just these are battle cries. You have the attack and health of a minion. Protect is an interesting mechanic they've implemented, which is where a minion will take that less damage, which is quite fun and interesting to see. So from that regard, as you can see, this is moving. I can move my minions. Bastet can move 3 units, 3 consecutive units. You can move 1, 2, 3, like so, or 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, and then she'll hit enemies in that area, which is quite fun and all fairly easy to understand. You can only place around the summoning stone, so keep that in mind. I'm just going to throw this here. I'm going to throw this here. And I'm just going to show you some of the things. As you can see, it shows in colorized where all the damage units are and all the kind of things that have been buffed, anything like that, which is quite nice. So I'm just going to hit this as well, because I want to start throwing some damage into it. That should make the free trade there, which will be nice. And return damage, as you can see, anytime you can hit return damage. Now, important things to note. Range, if they're out of the range of melee, will make sure that you don't hit that. So, for example, if I do this, first of all, Bastet's Afterlife effect will kick off. She'll summon, in a random area around her, she'll summon the cats. So, in this area here, she'll spawn 3 cats. And then I want to show you guys... Jesus, how did he heal that? How did he do that? Oh, he threw another Stone of Gaia on it. That's nice. That's fun. It's not fun at all, but, you know. I'm just going to execute this because it's getting very big and I don't want to deal with it. So, you know, that's that. And most of the time, the game will move already for you, which is okay. And then this guy, I'm just going to move here and through there. You can't have more than 1 minion on a specific spot. And that's how it works. Hero powers are fairly simple. Ooh, that was strong. That was very strong. How did that not hit the cats? Okay, I'm confused. That may be a bug. Again, it's brutal. So that's a bug. Do I want to spawn a Bastet with +2 health? No, but what I will do is try and roll RNG.
Goodbye, my
Give me the on her.
warriors.
Hey, RNG rolls in my favor. I am very happy for that. So I'm just going to kill the Athena. The game, it's fairly self-explanatory, but the higher up levels you get, the more you have to start thinking about positioning, all those kinds of things. For example, putting this thing here right now, the reason I did that is because it means he has to put his minions towards it to fight it. They have to be adjacent squares or range. So, from that regard, that's all good. But my big issue right now is just from a caster's point of view, this is very awkward to gauge and read what cards are. If I don't know what cards are, I have no way of telling what they are. There's no way of reading the name or anything. The cards are held at too much of an angle at a point. You think, I'm going to link it again to Hearthstone, the cards are much more spaced out, and only when you get a lot of cards in your hand do you start having issues with their names and such. So as a result, that is quite an issue, in my opinion. It's, again, personal preference, but from what I know of these kind of games, that's just awkward. That's just very awkward. So I'm going to put the mana potion here, and then do that. I'm very akin to Hearthstone, so I'm used to clicking and dragging cards. You can just click them. You just one click and that sort of thing. But fairly simple, fairly easy to understand game. There's not too much of a issue or anything with that, so I'm just going to throw you there, because that'll help. Kill that off. And the game's pretty much done at this point. I'm also going to do this. As you can see, this is the Fire Giant. Very strong card, and it just lets me summon 2 imps. These guys have charge, so this guy can already do 4 damage off the field and summon a 5/8 body. It's a very strong card. And they give you this legendary to start with. There are cards which they do give you. Straight up, they just give you some cards, which is very nice of them to do so. At least I believe they do, anyway. I'm too sure. But yeah, this is the game. It's pretty much all done. I've practically won already, so yeah. This is where things do get interesting. Is, for example, I can't go to there because Hades is in the way, and I can't go through Hades, so as a result, I have an awkward situation. So what I am going to do is do this, which kills that off, which then doesn't quite give me enough space to hit it. But what I can do is instead hit this. This is giving this thing protect, so it means it takes 1 less damage from all my stuff, which is awkward, so I don't want it to do that. So now I'm just going to do this, hit this, kill all his minions, because I am that kind of guy. I'm going to hit you with a heal, because I want to heal it, and because I feel like healing it. This is going to hit there. This is going to hit there. Board control is always fun. And as you can see, this is just how I play the game. This is just my way. I'm very greedy when I play it, but this is the idea. And you'll see as well, there are emotes and things. You just have all of these, like all these different kinds of things. You can mute your opponent as well, which is always nice. Here's the main crux of the deck. Finally, it's actually loaded up. So I'm going to hit this, and then, where do I want to put you? I'm just going to heal that.
The glow.
But yeah, there's a lot of cool cards, a lot of cool, interesting ways. This is a very bad positioning on my part, so I'm actually just going to change it. And I finished the game.
Sound the death knell. I arise.
Time to limber up.
Bathe the glow.
And there we have it, guys. So I just thought I'd let that last little bit play out. There was no real reason for me to keep talking, but this, as you can see, is just how you level up. You get 100 favor every time you level up. And yeah, I should now have enough to be able to buy a pack and show you guys a little bit more what I was talking about with the packs. So we're going to go open packs. It's fairly easy to get favor, so we're going to do that. Another thing I wish you could do is set how many packs you buy with favor. That would just be really nice. Open a pack, and then let's see what we get. Let's hope we get something good. Now we just got a standard pack, and as you can see, we now roll that over. I also wish as well it told you if there was anything new that you got from this. Originally they had it where if it was new, you turned it over. If it was cards you already had, it just straight up showed you. I liked that a little bit better personally. That's just my personal opinion on that though. So again, quest logs shows where everything is, shows all the levels of yourself and the characters you're playing as, and then just go to the collection, explore that, disenchant everything, and this is what I was talking about. 9 from that. So that has been Hand of the Gods. I hope you guys give it a try, give it a pick up. They start you off with 2 fairly simple decks. Give it a try, have a go, have some fun. They are looking at working this game a lot. Adonis and the team have been constantly pushing new stuff with this, and they're actually doing a fantastic job with it. So I do hope that you give it a go. In fact, actually what I probably will do as well is have in the description down below a link to where you can download the game. So have a look down there and download the game. Give it a try. Just, what's the worst that happens? You try it and you don't enjoy it, and, you just tried out a game which you didn't know whether or not you enjoyed. Maybe you get really good at it, and maybe you'll become the next, maybe next year we'll see you guys at Valencia playing the game. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, my name has been Supersonic Blur. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and favorite for more, and to share this stuff so people know that it exists. You guys have been a fantastic audience, and I shall see you all next time.